but so can the flu, generally speaking. And are there things that you can do to mitigate it? Yes. And maybe it's going to make us more hygienic, you know. Maybe we will keep our own spaces cleaner. You know, we were talking with someone yesterday about, people who actually clean. You know, sometimes you don't need to leave your filth for someone. How about that? You know, sometimes you need to, not sometimes, you need to clean up after yourself. People who clean ought to maintain. They should not, unless you are not able-bodied, they should not have to clean after you. So we're not getting sound they're hearing. So let's see what's happening here. Let's make sure that this is plugged up properly. And okay, that is. So let's put that back in there. And so we'll find out why we're not having sound here. And let's go. Okay. And it's very, very low. Okay, we're going to find out. We're going to work that out. Okay, well, the sound is good over there, so we need to find out what is going on over here. So we have a wonderful panel who's going to talk to us today about what you're going to vote for, because we vote in Chicago and Illinois, along with Ohio and other states, next week, next Tuesday. And so this Tuesday, Michigan and 5 other states, well, they are on, we're going to see tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, everybody. Let's get some of these headlines out the way, Lady B, because in the next hour, we're going to be talking about paid sick leave. Many people, those who are white-collar workers, you're able to get paid sick leave. You're being told to work remotely. One of my dear friends is a highly ranked state official in Maryland. And I was talking with her yesterday, and she said, oh, I'm preparing to work from home remotely, for a while. I said, okay. But the people who clean the buildings can't do that. The people who work in the cafeterias cannot do that. So what are they going to do? If you typically, in many of these places, you have to work a year before you can get paid sick leave. And, a lot of bosses don't take too kindly to you getting sick, right? So what's going to happen? Well, I tell you what, we are dealing with a volatile stock market. Lady B, let's get to some of these headlines. The Dow plunged more than 2,000 points, the biggest decline since 2008, as the coronavirus has fueled market turmoil. This is according to the Business Insider. The benchmark S&P 500 plummeted as much as 8% on Monday, its biggest intraday drop since 2010, before closing 7.6% lower. The index's sharp losses at the open prompted the first market-wide trading halt. They stopped trading, everybody, since the depths of the financial crisis in December of 2008. Wow, the Dow Jones Industrial Average declined 2,014 points, or 7.8%, its biggest single-day loss since October 2008. They halted the stocks, everybody. And, Dwight McKee made the point last night, well, maybe you need to buy stocks because they're much cheaper today. The biggest loss in history, everybody. And Republicans who came in contact with President Trump are self-quarantining. Congressman Doug Collins and Matt Gaetz and Mark Meadows are the latest congressmen to take the step as the coronavirus spreads. They were at the CPAC conference. And they recently came into contact, according to this Politico report, with Donald Trump, President Trump, and they said they would self-quarantine after interacting with someone who was infected with the coronavirus. Now, that's not the president. It's someone else. They shook hands with President Trump on Friday, and that is Doug Collins, the Georgia representative, and Florida Representative Matt Gaetz, who was on board Air Force One and drove in President Trump's car on Monday, announced earlier in the day that they've decided to stay home after being informed that they came in contact with an individual at the Conservative Political Action Conference who was later hospitalized with the coronavirus. So, do you think President Trump should self-quarantine? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be snarky, because I want to know just how this is working. We're going to have to get Dr. Arnold back on so we can talk about that. And did you know the president's future chief of staff is one of the persons who's self-quarantining as well? Unbelievable. And America is lagging far, far behind other countries in testing for the coronavirus. That's right. The Central for Disease Control, the Center for Disease Control, according to this news report, has administered less than 1,600 tests. Now, we're a country of more than 300 million people.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in Korea, they have administered more than 100,000 tests. So, everybody, what is going on now? People are really pushing back on that, and so the government plans to ship out 2.1 million tests by Monday. Good, good, good. But there's a story that came out in Business Insider, everybody. People are questioning why the World Health Organization won't call this a pandemic. It's on 6 of 7 continents. That having been said, according to a report from the Business Insider, U.S. hospitals are preparing for 96 million coronavirus cases and more than 480,000 deaths. It sounds awful, and it is. Did you know that the New York State is using their prison labor to produce hand sanitizer? Did you know that, Lady B? Unbelievable. Oh. What is next? And all of Italy. Yesterday it was a quarter of Italy. But now it is the whole country that has been locked down. How do they do that? Could that happen here, everybody? They're being told not to travel, not to socialize, and to stay inside. Restaurants are open until 6 p.m. What does that mean? Because human beings are social animals. I'm wondering if that could happen, or will it happen here? Don't travel. Gatherings are canceled. Venues have been closed. It's just, it's all seeming like a whole lot. And now, as we look at these paid sick leave and all of that, people are wondering, how are we going to help these workers who can't work remotely? Well, now it seems our government is trying to do something. U.S. government is pledging more testing as President Trump hints at aid for workers. What form will that come in? It seems to me that this is something that is, they're trying to work it out. I don't think they've worked it all out. This lack of paid leave is a real issue. A real issue for a whole lot of people, Lady B. The Bulls will be playing the Cavaliers tonight, and the Bucks, well, they fell to the Nuggets. The Nuggets 109. The Bucks 95. Today it's raining in Madison, in Milwaukee, and in Chicago. In Madison, we're expecting a high of 49 degrees, but in this part of the world, that's as high as it's going to get. Chicago, we're expecting a high of 35 degrees. In Milwaukee, 38 degrees. It is chilly today, everybody. It doesn't feel like it did yesterday. Okay, so everybody, you know what? Let's get up the rest of our guests today, because we do have quite a full bank of guests. We've got Aaron Connolly. We have got of Weebridge Consultants, and we have got Attorney C.K. Hoffler, President-elect of the National Bar Association, the largest and oldest black bar association in the country. We've got Dwight McKee, our favorite sociologist. But we've also got Reverend Marcia Dyson. I put that in there, so we got her late last night, and so we want to bring her on too. But first, let's start with you, Attorney C.K. Hoffler. Many people are going to choose whom they're going to vote for, right? But the question is, to me, what should we be voting for? What are the issues that are really pushing Americans, that are pushing black people? Because it seems to me that the black vote is highly prized, and it is needed in order for any of these men, either Vice President Biden or Senator Sanders. They can't win the nomination without the black vote. So it seems to me black issues or black concerns, which really help everybody in America, are central to the campaign. What do you believe? What do you think? What are the issues, or what is an issue that's really moving people to vote? C.K. Hoffler.
I think what is now becoming an issue at the top of everyone's list is healthcare. It always was very important in the black community and important to people in general, but now with this coronavirus, I think the healthcare concerns are first and foremost in people's minds. And certainly there are other things that concern the black community. The crime How are they going to address our communities? How are they going to address issues pertaining to our communities? Is there an agenda? We do know that now candidate Sanders, or Senator Sanders, does have an agenda that concerns the black community. It is my understanding that Senator Biden does not, or Vice President Biden does not. That is very disconcerting. I think that at this time, at this moment, when our country is in such pain because of the coronavirus, it is beyond too late for the candidates not to sit down and have serious discussions with the leaders in the African community, the black and brown community, and other communities, and to make a determination as to how they're going to put forth an agenda that impacts our community. So when people are thinking right now of how they should vote, I think those are the things that they are concerned about. They're concerned about what are these candidates going to do? What are they going to do with the coronavirus? Last night I did hear Bernie Sanders. On CNN talk about his approach to the coronavirus. So I think that's going to be a very, very important concern.
Well, okay. Dwight McKee, what say you?
Yeah, and I agree with her. I think that one of the most important issues of the day is health care. Is that I was saying last night during our panel discussion that health is not contagious, whereas disease is contagious. That if you got two healthy people, a sick person can make two healthy people unhealthy, but two healthy people can't make a sick person healthy. It is just how disease works. And if you are insured and healthy, and your neighbor is uninsured and unhealthy, then you run a greater risk of being unhealthy than healthy. Your neighbor becomes a threat, more of a threat to you than an asset to you. And so I think health is one of the more important issues. And I think that for black people is, like most people, we have to look at what our particular interests are. And our particular situations have been. Reparations, I think, should have been a major issue that Bernie had dealt with. I think would have kind of divided the black community, and he'd have had more traction against Biden than he had because he had a true deliverable. Reparations is peculiar to us, but only because slavery was so peculiar to us. And it's a remedy policy that overlaps into education. It overlaps into housing. It overlaps into all of those issues that we've had deficits in for the last 200, 300 years because we spent 400 years of working and not getting paid. And so many of the Trump supporters vote their interests, which is, for many of them, white nationalism. I think we have the same right to vote our interests, which is those things which are good for the black community.
Aaron Connolly, what do you think what's pushing people to vote? I mean, millennials, women, whites. Yeah, I think the whole panel needs to look at everything because everybody's voting. We're expecting to have more people vote in the fall than have voted in more than 100 years, Aaron. What do you see as being the driving issue or the driving issues in this campaign cycle? I have a couple of minutes.
Good morning, panel. Good morning, Santita. Well, an article came out that I found interesting, and I brought this issue up on your show a few times, and we see Michigan voting, and I always look to places in Michigan where I grew up around the Detroit area are very diverse, area, but some areas are very Republican, dominated by corporate executives or out in the country, mixed with working class non-college whites, as they are referred to in campaign speak. And they were focused on Macomb County in this article. And the mayor of Macomb County is a Republican that's voting for Joe Biden this year. This county went for Trump previously. In the last, I think it's 5 or 6 elections has determined the outcome of the nation. So these are voters that are really truly in the middle. They do not necessarily vote for a party. There is not the loyalty there. The issues and the person, I think, and personality connection are very important to this block of voters. So I always look to see where that group is going, and that usually solidifies a trend and for me. However, I want to look at the turnout and the energy behind the women's vote. And Santita, I know we've talked a little bit about this last week with attorney C.K. Hoffler as well. The response to Elizabeth Warren leading the race and how she's been criticized after for not endorsing a candidate and taking her time. So it'll be interesting to see how young women and young professionals split from that Warren vote, which seemed to be her small base. We're looking in places like next week. We have our final vote in Illinois and Arizona, places that are considered more of swing states. The most recent polls from Arizona had Joe Biden in the lead, and Warren and Klobuchar with small margins to split the rest of those votes. So ultimately, this comes down to numbers, and I agree. I think I'm a healthcare voter as a person with a serious health issue, and I see that impact every day, and want to make sure that all of the candidates, no matter what happens, realize that is going to be a big part of the constituency, and we saw that in the midterm elections. People understand when their prescription drug prices.
Well, so stay right there. Hold on, because healthcare is the issue. I think driving so much. Back in a minute.
Hi everybody, this is Santita Jackson.
Oh, seriously?
Join me on the Santita
I've got to
Jackson
call.
Show, Mondays through Fridays, 6
Remind me to
to
call
8
Mr.
a.m. morning
Korfman.
drive on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Mr. Korfman.
Okay.
Do you have a house or 2 flat you'd like to
Gotta
sell
call them
quickly?
today.
Then call URB Chicago. Get an immediate cash offer and
you look
receive
great
your
today.
check in as little as
You
7
look on no
days.
sleep. You look
No
great.
need to make
Oh,
repairs, no
thank
brokers
you.
or real estate commissions. Get a
You do.
market-based, hassle-free
don't you
cash
feel great
offer
when you
on the
get
spot.
yourself? I know. Look.
URBChicago.com is the area's oldest direct buyer
No,
of real
it
estate.
actually didn't need a
They
mic.
buy as is,
At all.
even properties
We didn't
that
need the
are
mic
boarded
today?
up have tax
This
liens
caused
or
the
building
static.
code issues.
This did?
Stop
Oh, really?
worrying about
Oh,
bad
let's
tenants,
put this
high
back in
payments,
the
or even repairs you can't afford.
Or remember
If
the
you own a house,
that
apartment
adapter.
building, or
Okay.
even commercial
Oh,
real estate
wonderful.
in rough condition,
Ah, isn't that wonderful? Yay!
URBChicago.com
One less
gives you
one
a
less thing. This
fast way
phone
to
is really
sell
powerful.
at fair market value. Call
I mean,
URB
it's a little
Chicago right
computer.
now
Look,
at
I write documents on this thing.
847-373-7575.
I
That's
wrote something that when I printed it out, it was 50 pages.
847-673-7575. Or visit
And I wrote, oh, I have
URBChicago.com.
thousands of documents on here. It's a little computer, and it is worth its weight in gold. Yes, I love the Galaxy. How about
And
that?
that's the Galaxy.
Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
The Galaxy Note.
I
have the Galaxy Note. I mean, you can do everything on this thing in the palm of your hand. You do. That's why I moved away from my laptops. Because this, you can take pictures. I can watch my Netflix. I've watched seasons of what was Kevin Spacey's old show? House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Oh yes, and I did love it. And I'm sorry it's over. Because yes, he's got his issues, but boy, that was a great show. And if you want to know politics, that's really the deal. Okay. Scandal was nice, and it was fun, and it was a fantasy. But just so that you know, let's see, because I think Attorney Hoffler,
Attention Walmart shoppers.
call her and
This is a Jackson
see
Hewitt
if
tax
she
service
sent something.
announcement. Save time and money with Jackson
Call
Hewitt
her.
and Walmart.
She's on the
For a
line.
limited time,
I know,
you can
but call
shop
her
while a
to
skilled
just check and
Jackson
see if she
Hewitt
needed
tax pro
something.
prepares your
Because
federal tax
you
return
okay?
for as little as $48, but no more than
Oh, okay.
$149.
Hold on.
Only at Jackson Hewitt and Walmart. Hurry, this offer
Okay.
won't last. Get your
Can you
coupon
speak to
code
me?
and terms at
No, she said
jacksonhewitt.com.
Oh, okay,
Then stop
okay.
by one of our Walmart locations by March
Tell her
15th to get
we're
your taxes done while you
I'm gonna
shop
tell her I'm
for
gonna
only
call her,
$149 or
ask her if
less.
she's gonna be
That's Jackson
available
Hewitt and Walmart.
like just after 9.
Happening across the nation right now. ADP is helping Party City stores streamline
Hello?
recruiting.
CK?
Music houses like Squeaky Clean
Santita
Studios
wanted to
are
know if you're going to
demoing
be
tracks while ADP
available
helps
just
keep
after 9
business
o'clock.
on track. And ADP helps a
I
small
was gonna
Mexican
call.
restaurant keep up with compliance demands.
Tell her I'm on my way to
When
DC
ADP
today.
helps businesses achieve what they're working for,
Oh.
that's newsworthy. HR
Okay.
talent, time, benefits, and payroll. Informed by data and designed for
Okay.
people. Learn more
It's
at
because she's on her way
design.adp.com.
to
Finding
DC
great
today.
candidates to hire can be like,
And I'll call her.
trying to
And
find
she'll
a
call
needle in
you.
a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds
Oh,
and
my
invites
word.
qualified candidates to apply to your job. So
Okay,
while other
perfect.
companies might deliver a lot of hay,
I
ZipRecruiter
told you
finds
what
you
Renee
the
said.
Yes.
needle in the haystack.
Renee, I wish you would call in because you know we love hearing your voice. I bet if Senator Sanders was POTUS, he wouldn't allow, he wouldn't
Yes.
cover Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Happening across the nation right now.
Yes,
ADP
it
is
is.
helping Party
And
City
and
stores
carry they gotta
streamline
carry the
recruiting.
hand
Music houses
sanitizer
like
too,
Squeaky
and
Clean
everything. Wash
Studios
your
are
hands,
demoing
everything.
tracks while ADP
Yep.
helps keep
I saw
business
something on
on
how to
track.
make your own hand
And
sanitizer.
ADP helps a small Mexican restaurant keep up with
Aloe vera
compliance
gel
demands.
and
When ADP
alcohol.
helps businesses achieve what they're working
2/3
for, that's
alcohol,
newsworthy.
1/3 aloe vera
HR
gel.
talent,
Oh,
time,
okay, yeah,
benefits, and
yeah,
payroll.
that's
I mean real
true.
aloe vera gel though.
Yeah,
Learn more
we're
at
coming back.
Okay.
design.adp.com.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show, streaming live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Talk 1017 FM, and Madison, Wisconsin at Talk 927 FM, and on WCPT 820 here in Chicago. So WCPT820.com, Talk 1017FM.com, and Talk 927FM.com. Got a lot to talk about today. Super Tuesday Part 2. It's right here. What do you think is going to happen with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden? The Joe-mentum, that's what they're talking about. Well, at least Kamala Harris and Cory Booker came out and endorsed him. Do you think that's going to make a difference? No, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm curious. Do these endorsements make a difference? I'd even put Reverend Jackson in the mix, although they're not the same, quite frankly. But that having been said, who has the momentum? You know, because I was walking down the street, Aaron, because I want you to finish your point. I was on Saturday. Senator Sanders was here in Chicago. And, of course, my parents were preparing to go to Michigan the next day to formally endorse and publicly endorse Senator Sanders. And my mother said, I wonder how much of a crowd he's going to get. I said, oh, don't worry about that. I don't even know a world at this time in which he doesn't draw about 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people, just like that. And when you were walking down the street, you could see it and feel it, because I've been in so many marches. I've seen so much Dwight and Attorney C.K. Hoffler and Aaron Connolly. I can kind of feel when you have 1,000 people, when you have 100, when you have 500, when you've been marching as long as I have, you know 10,000, you know 100,000, you know 1,000,000 people. And it's just, you know, it seems like his momentum is in the streets. And Joe Biden's momentum is in the suites. Just an observation. We'll see how this all plays out tonight. But Aaron Connolly, as someone who has to deal with the health, who has to deal with hospitals and doctors, day in and day out, for your life, to stay alive, healthcare has got to be at the center of the discussion for you. Got to be.
It is. It has so many other economic parts of our lives, right? And I recognize that I come from my complex medical situation as a type 1 diabetic, as a single mom and a business owner from a privileged perspective. But it's still, as you said, if I don't have my medicine, I will literally die. And it's an invisible disease, so people, you know, unless I'm testing right in front of you, it's not something you're going to see, but you may see the impacts of it when I, get sick and my blood sugar is all over the place. For example, people with diabetes are at extra risk for coronavirus and more likely to get infections just in general.
So wait, hold on. So what are you going to do? Do you feel the need to self quarantine? How are you going to protect yourself at this time?
I've been wiping down everything with Clorox wipes since I've been diagnosed with diabetes, so I've been well ahead of that trend. In addition to that, I went and stocked up on my insulin supplies, on my testing supplies so I have about a six-month supply that I've been able to stockpile, which is not a great situation. It's an expensive thing to do.
Now, so hold on. Did you have to go out of pocket, or did your insurance allow you to to stockpile your meds? Because I know I have particular health concerns myself because I had the biliopancreatic bypass 15 years ago, and so I have to have certain medications every month, but I can only get them by the month. My insurance will not allow me to get 2 months worth, right?
Yeah. So I do have special permission to get a 3-month supply, and then I did go out of pocket for a portion, just to be able to, have enough. So these are considerations that people with illnesses, chronic illnesses like I and many others, people with disabilities that need additional medical equipment and have to, have these supplies that are life-saving. But our system is changing, and our insurance companies are getting smarter, and they are making it harder to work with pharmacies and your insurance and your doctor to get the things that you need. It took me this week, in order to get my prescriptions refilled for a cost that I'm now waiting for a refund on, $300 that I wasn't supposed to pay. So $300 to a person that is really struggling to make rent, that can't, pay parking tickets, that's looking at, how they're going to get food on the table, that's a big chunk of money.
So when you hear someone talk about Medicare for all who want it, how does that sound to you?
I think it sounds great. Just to be able to have that one thing not take up a majority of my time and stress and energy. And I know many other people that, again, are not coming at it from a source of privilege, from a source of having a law degree to know how to read through some of this paperwork and the questions to ask the insurance company and to push them. I understand that Medicare for All is life-saving. It literally can change the trajectory of a generation if we take this seriously. And I know many of the healthcare voters that I organized with to save the ACA and who do think that that's a great first step know that the system is irreparably broken if we don't acknowledge fundamentally that there needs to be a change to the structure of how we look at healthcare in this country. I do not love my health insurance. I don't think anybody that has to have a weekly conversation with them does. And we need something new. I think it's a fundamental and foundational piece that can change the lives of people, especially working families and families that are struggling to make ends meet in this country.
Attorney C.K. Hoffler, you keep using the term disconcerting. You sound unsettled about candidates. Specifically, I would say Joe Biden, about, the deliverables. And I'd like to bring Dwight McKee into this, and you, Aaron Connolly, but let me start with you, C.K. Hoffler, and then you, Dwight McKee. The deliverables. You want specifics in terms of the deliverables to the black community, to women. Explain.
Absolutely. And let me just say something about this coronavirus, because I just dropped off my children who are teenagers in a private school. And in Atlanta, the Atlanta public schools have closed so that they can sanitize, because there was a teacher who had been exposed. We perhaps have some kids that have been exposed. So the public school system is closed. The private schools have put in place a plan, at least in my kids' school, where we are now setting ourselves up potentially for them to be educated at home. And so today is their first day back from spring break. You have to give your children wipes. You have to talk to them about washing their hands consistently. You have to talk to them about if they cough, like maybe they might have a scratchy throat. What can that mean? All of this was completely foreseeable. This was completely foreseeable. And that is why, when I think about the deliverables, when I think about the candidates, when I think about the children in this country, when I think about the elderly in this country who are exposed right now in front of us as we speak for no good reason, other countries got ahead of this and we simply didn't. And so when I'm looking at these candidates, when I'm thinking about how they must put forth a plan for the coronavirus, and again, I see that Bernie Sanders has, for healthcare issues in general, whether you have money to afford, as our previous speaker said, to pay for prescriptions an extra $300, that is a deal breaker for someone who is struggling, in most single parents. And middle class, and certainly people who are not middle class, who haven't obtained that status. So for these candidates to walk around without addressing these specific issues, what is their plan? What would they do now? Is very disconcerting, and that's the nicest word I can think. And so it's critically important to see this agenda, for the voters to insist on an agenda. There are people's lives at stake now that may not have been at stake 2 weeks ago, because we have a health crisis. This is becoming an epidemic. We knew if an entire country has shut down, meaning Italy, and there were almost every continent on this universe has been impacted, how is it that the most quote-unquote sophisticated, high-tech, advanced country in the world didn't get it? So these candidates need to treat issues that impact our community, starting with healthcare right now, where we're in a crisis, and tell us what they plan to do if they're elected president. What are they going to do about healthcare for the millions of citizens, the hundreds and millions of citizens who are now at risk in this crisis? What are they going to do? What are they going to do to protect women in the workplace? What are they going to do to address the what I call stop, frisk, beat, and kill policies? What are they going to do in terms of the issues that concern people in this country? They've got to be specific. We don't need any blah, 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 blah. We need specifics. And in terms of the African American agenda, there are key issues that, and can I just say, we are so blessed to have a Reverend Jackson who is mandating that we have a conversation about this. And I know there are other African American leaders and black and brown leaders who are doing this. But Reverend Jackson is the one that stepped up and stepped out and said, look, we need to address these right away. So what are the candidates saying? What is Senator Biden, what is Vice President Biden doing about this? Again, no more blah, blah political rhetoric. What is he going to do?
Well, yeah, because all you have to do is read, as a condition of Reverend Jackson's endorsement, you see about 14, 15, 16 points of agreement. He said, you've got to give us deliverables. I mean, we're friends. We've supported each other down through the years. But that has, to me, I was talking to a very dear friend last night who called and said, I love you, and we're on different sides politically. And she said, and I want you to know, even though people are saying unkind things about Reverend right now, I love you. I said, I hear you, but, people have been saying unkind things about him forever. But my thing is, since you're going to be in the room with Biden, ask him for deliverables. I don't need politeness. I need policy. Tell me about how much nicer you're going to be than Donald Trump, because everybody's a nut from time to time. I'm over that. What I want are the deliverables. Don't need you to be polite. Well, that would be nice, but I need you to tell me, delineate. I'm with you. Delineate the policies. Before. Yeah.
And I say this for everyone, no matter who you support,
right.
Whether you support Biden, whether you support Bernie Sanders, in the primary, the Democratic primary, they must have deliverables. We don't have the luxury of political rhetoric and jargon anymore. We need to see, and we need to see how they're going to implement this. And I think that should be the barometer. That should be the barometer to which, or the lens to which we judge these candidates. What are their deliverables? We have a crisis right now. What are they saying? It doesn't matter which side you fall on. People differ every day politically. That's not the issue. We're in a crisis right now. Let's put it through the test of time. What do they propose to do? I apologize for interrupting.
No. There's no interruption. I mean, because really, That's why we're having the conversation today. Dwight McKee, why don't you jump on in? Because you made an observation about what was it, the South Carolina primary. You did not hear about deliverables, particularly specifically from Vice President Biden. And I'm not just picking on him. You all know that I'm supporting uh, Senator Sanders. That having been said, I have friends who are Trumpers. And I ask them, if you're going to be in the room with him, what deliverables are you asking him of him for the black community or for women? Just that's all I'm asking you to do. We can differ politically, but now is the time, not for unity. No, now's the time for us to hash out our differences respectfully. And then we find out we get points of agreement at the convention when you convene, when you bring people together. Now is the time for me to let you know, no, I don't agree with you on Medicare for all who want it. I want Medicare for all. Now, if you want to keep your private health care plan, I hear you. But, it's driving most people into bankruptcy. We need to have a conversation about how this will all work. But Dwight McKee, deliverables. Talk to us.
Well, politics again is a regulation of the distribution of goods and services. And so what the platform does at the convention is figure out how and when and who that's going to be divided between. There are in every economy, by definition, there are goods and services. Where you fit is what politics decide. And so what we have to learn to do before we commit our vote, before we commit our voice, is to demand of the different candidates their commitment to the notion of us being in part of that constituency who is involved in the reception of goods and services. Whatever you call that, and however you call that, is really coincidental to the fact that I always say that the bigism is how they're distributed, but the superism is am I got food, am I clothes, am I got a place to stay, is the fact that you do get them. I think sometimes we get hung up on the philosophy of distribution rather than the fact of distribution. And what you call it as opposed to whether it exists. It always bothered me, and I think I may have been unique, that when Obama went down to Carolina when the church got shot up and did a rendition of Amazing Grace, I don't think anybody else would allow him to get away with that. We didn't need Amazing Grace. We needed a policy discussion for gun control. We needed reparations for our people who have been under assault for 400 years. We didn't need a song. He didn't bless his heart. He didn't dance. But the gay community would not have permitted that in their catastrophe. And the Hispanic community would not have allowed a song to dance. They wanted policies based on immigration. And the leisure class would not have allowed that. They wanted real tax breaks for themselves. We have to stop operating in the symbolic and move toward the substantive.
Everybody, I'm going to take these calls, and in the next hour, we're going to be talking about paid sick leave in the coronavirus. What about those who are going to be able to work remotely? Those plans are being enacted all over the country and all over the world, quite frankly. But what about people who have to show up to work? What about people who don't have paid sick leave? What about people who clean? The tissues that people just drop all around an office space? Really? What about them? We're going to be talking about that in the next hour. But right now, let me go to you, Maria. What's on your mind, Maria?
Good morning, Santita and your guests. These times for me, I think I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. and I think the waters are so choppy that I can't stay upright. So guess what I decided to do? I grabbed your dad's book, Keeping Hope Alive. And this is not a commercial. This is truly what happened. And I read his address before the Democratic Party at the convention of 1984. And this address is so relevant even now. And that happened, 32 years ago. But what I found was a sense of peace, if that makes sense, a calmness, that all will be okay, no matter what the turmoil is going around us, that all will be okay. And there's this one line, actually a paragraph in your dad's book about democracy guarantees opportunity, not success. Democracy guarantees the right to participate, not a license for either a majority or a minority to dominate. And that to me rings so true now. And he had indicated back then that he would proudly support whoever the nominee is. So at this point, I'm going to vote my conscience. I haven't done it yet. But I'm going to pray that our country is on the path to restore the democracy, because he spoke of helping those who are in the greatest need. He referred to the farmers. He referred to people of different colors, the Arab Americans, the Asians, the lesbian, gay community. They were all going through this stuff even back then. And to me, it's sad that history has continued to repeat itself, but I'm always hopeful. And it helped me reading your dad's address. It really helped calm the waters for me, because I have to admit I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, and it helps settle the waters for me, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, and that's where you have to keep hope alive, because the struggle continues. It's an old African saying, "Alua continua," or "Luta continua," actually. The struggle continues. It just continues. Our founding fathers said, liberty requires our eternal vigilance, and so don't get down, get up, and keep fighting. We have to continue to live to fight another day, and you are a tough one, Maria.
I think so.
My little flamenca.
But it really did help. It was so interesting. His book's right there, and I was so drawn to it and drawn to that particular page. You know how you open a Bible and whatever page opens up? And it was right near there. And I mean, I would encourage everybody to read this address, because you know what? He could be addressing it right now. He could. But what he preached and what he had prayed for is that we all join together. There's more similarities among us. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what religion, etc. We can do more together. And so that helps me. I mean, I feel a bit better now, having read that, more hopeful. I still got to work up my strength, but it really did help. It really did.
And that's the point. It really is the point. Sending you much love, Maria. I hope that you are feeling better. Got to see you out. You just have to get over to Push one of these Saturday mornings. We'll have a lot of fun. That's right. I got to get her to dance, though. She won't dance. See, during our what is it? Our Halloween party, we saw everyone's alter egos. She came as a flamenco dancer. Lorraine came as a flapper, and Mark, God rest his soul, came as Mark Anthony.
That's right.
Remember? Gosh, Mark was a stitch. Let me go to you, Pam, from Chicago. How you doing, Pam? Pam, what's on your mind?
Yes. Hi, Santita. Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can, sweetie. I've got about a couple of minutes.
Okay, quickly. Your father, Reverend Jackson, I'm glad he endorsed Senator Sanders. Your dad he's not only a reverend, he is a former presidential candidate. I think that's important to note. He's also a world leader, and that is important to note. And I just want to give him that, because they won't really say that in the media as it pertains to his endorsement. It is very important. So I noticed on CBS News they talked about Biden's endorsement. Didn't talk about Sanders' endorsement right there in Michigan. So Sanders is really going to have an uphill battle. But I'm saying, Santita, I'm voting against Trump, but more importantly, I'm voting for something in Senator Sanders. Went to his website, listened to his policy agenda. It is not about personality. It is very much policy. And I am for Medicare for all, some type of single payer for everyone. Health care is a right. And if there is ever a time it's important, it's with this COVID-19. We have leadership right now, executive leadership, who they don't have a clue as to what to do, and they won't let the health officials take charge and do what is necessary. I'm going to end on this, Santita. I hear the Democratic Party, they're all aligning with Biden. And one of the reasons I heard is, well, Bernie isn't a real Democrat because he's a registered independent in Vermont. Listen to me clearly. It's okay for that independent in Vermont to caucus with the Democratic Party, to go along with their policy agendas. But you're saying that this independent can't run in your Democratic election, but you want independent voters to support the Democratic presidential candidate. Now, that's hypocrisy. So the Democratic Party needs to get it together, Santita, because do we really want a separate third independent party? Because if that were to happen, then the Democratic Party will never have a presidential candidate. I'm standing with the people. We need livable wages. We need health care. We need free access to education for our children. Debt relief. How important would that be? How much can we tell our young people we care about you, we want to invest in you, when we tell them we will relieve your school debt and we will make sure that you can go to any tech school, trade school, or undergrad? How wonderful would it be if we as a society said that?
Stay right there. You know, look, and we're going to get some closing thoughts from our guest on the other side of the break as we talk about paid leave. Back in a minute. Okay.
This is Louis Kyle from GWC.
Pam was on a roll.
Well, cannabis is now
So
legal in
just let
Illinois.
them know that we're going to give them. Is CK going to be on with us in the second hour? Or is it just going to be Robert? That's fine.
Ingest in public or in your vehicle ever.
I didn't even ask her. I think she is.
Okay, I just want to know
So I can know. She said she was going to try to hang on this.
Okay, so I can know who to. Well, we're going to be saying goodbye to Aaron and to.
No smoking policy.
If Dwight wants to,
you can be fired from your job if your employer has a zero tolerance alcohol or drug policy and you fail a drug test. You may lose your workers' compensation case if you were injured on a job and test positive.
For the next hour too?
And remember, due to limitations on testing, that positive test can be due to ingesting cannabis 30 days prior to your accident. You will be cited for a DUI.
We love you, CK.
And your blood or urine test positive for THC. So if you want to indulge in THC before
we love you, Pam. We love you, Renee. We love you, Bab.
And learn more at gwclaw.com.
At Napa
Lorraine,
Auto Parts
love you,
stores and
girl.
auto care centers,
Okay.
Napa
Daphne, hey, girlie, love you.
Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa know-how.
Is that Cortez? Thank you, Cortez.
Good morning. I'm Ed Donahue. In Iran, the government is reporting
Michael Ann, hey,
54
sweetie.
more coronavirus
Joanne,
deaths.
Davis Lopez, hey, sweetie.
Italy's prime minister has a message for everyone there.
Hold on, okay?
Stay at home. Travel restrictions are previously limited
Renee,
to Italy
hey,
have
sweetie.
extended everywhere in that country starting
Tanya.
today. Soldiers and police are enforcing bans. China's president
Renee,
visited the
is she going to be able to
epicenter
join
of
us
the
tomorrow to
outbreak,
review
Wuhan.
the results?
Stock markets around the world are rebounding from record declines.
Great.
And President Trump says
Can
he
she be
wants
on to do
Congress
the
to work
results
on
tomorrow?
a payroll tax cut. Vice President Mike
She
Pence
can say
says early
about
measures by
another
the
30
Trump
Okay, that's
administration
perfect.
are
But
paying
can she
off.
do, because we're going to go over the results tomorrow. Does she do any of that tomorrow?
American public remains low, and the risk of
We're going to
serious
go over the
disease,
results tomorrow.
among the
Does she
American
want to? Does she
public
want to do any of that?
also remains low.
The government is discussing differing scenarios.
Oh, okay.
Surgeon General Jerome
Yes.
Adams
Okay,
says
great.
communities need to
All
start
right, perfect.
thinking about
Thank
how
you.
they
Hold
would
on.
cancel large gatherings and what to do if schools need to be closed.
Even though young people aren't
very
at
good.
risk for dying from coronavirus, they can
You want me
potentially
to ask
spread
Dwight too,
that
or?
to older
Yeah,
people
ask
in the
him because
communities
we're going to
and
be
people with
talking about
chronic
paid leave
diseases.
because he can
So
speak
it's
about it
important we all
philosophically.
take precautions, washing our hands, covering our cough, keeping our distance
for
from
that,
people
you know,
who are sick.
For most people,
Aaron is
the
an independent
coronavirus
business
brings
owner.
only mild
See
to
if she
moderate
wants to do
symptoms.
that too.
Jackie Quinn, Washington.
Another cruise ship was supposed to dock in the Cayman Islands, but thousands of passengers and crew are being
Aaron,
prevented from disembarking
on the next hour,
until
we're
crew
going to
members
talk
are
about
tested
paid
for the
leave and
coronavirus.
workers.
Santa Clara County in California announced a
you want to
ban on
talk
all
about
large
hang out and
gatherings
talk
of
about
at least
that too?
1,000 people for the rest of the month. Michigan is the big prize in today's primaries and caucuses in the race for president. It's the state that could either revive Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign for the Democrats.
Well, then we'll just have her
relegate him to a
give some
role of
closing
runner-up
remarks,
to
and
Joe
then we'll let her
Biden.
go.
Okay,
At the time.
we'll just have
It's
you
18
do some closing remarks and then let you go.
Saudi Arabia state-run oil company says it will increase
Well, we'll see about
production
tomorrow.
next month.
And then tomorrow, will you be able to do the results?
Represents a rise of 300,000
Okay,
barrels
perfect.
a day.
Thank you.
Aramco's decision likely will flood global energy markets and put further pressure on prices. The lower oil prices come
because she
as
got to
there's less
get her
demand for air
son.
travel amid the spread of the new coronavirus around the world, further depressing prices. Aramco's move seems to make good on the country's promise over the weekend to increase
Are you able to stick
after Russia
around for the
refused
next
to
half
cooperate
hour,
on
for
cutting
the next
production.
hour?
That led to a 25% plunge in the price
I
of crude
appreciate
on
it.
Monday.
Thank you.
I'm Charles.
Because we're going to talk about
Pearl Jam is
the
postponing the North
workers
American leg
and
of its world tour
paid
because
sick
of the
leave.
coronavirus. 17 U.S. and Canadian performances from March 18th in Toronto through April 19th in Oakland, California have been indefinitely postponed. Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 Chicago traffic update.
Westbound I-80 traffic is heavy from the Veterans Memorial Tollway to around Cherry Hill Road. We're seeing delays on the inbound Eden starting at Foster. It's 18 minutes like Cook Junction. Inbound Kennedy, scattered delays start at Canfield. 31 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound downtown to O'Hare, 25 minutes. Inbound Eisenhower, it's heavy on the extension Mill to Wooddale Road. 4 delays picking at Manheim. 45 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 30. On I-55 is heavy, 53 to 355. Delays continue from there to 83. Looking
this
at
time moves
49
pretty
minutes,
quickly,
355 to
right?
Lakeshore
No, you have,
Drive. 23 minutes,
you're getting
95 to
Dwight back
downtown.
on?
I-57, Bishop Ford, both 20 minutes on the merge. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte.
And
Robert Half is the
Robert
better way to
Patillo,
hire.
okay.
They pre-evaluate and custom match highly skilled professionals to your specific project and full-time hiring requirements. Robert Half, experts in accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, and administrative staffing. Visit roberthalf.com.
Attention Walmart shoppers. This is a Jackson Hewitt tax service announcement. Save time and money with Jackson Hewitt and Walmart. For a limited time, you can shop while a skilled Jackson Hewitt tax pro prepares your federal tax return for as
Hey
little
everybody,
as $48,
we're going to be talking about paid
no
sick
more than
leave.
$149.
Think about
Only
it.
at Jackson Hewitt and
Food
Walmart.
workers.
Hurry, this offer won't last.
You know, most
Get your
of
coupon code and terms at
most, if not many
jacksonhewitt.com.
workers in
Then stop
America
by one of our Walmart locations by March 15th to get your taxes
have
done
to be
while
at
you
work
shop
in
for
order
only
to get paid.
$149 or less.
Think
That's
about
Jackson
that.
Hewitt and Walmart.
So,
it's time for reparations. Since the
boy,
early
you see the difference
1600s,
between haves and
there have
have-nots.
been the
More,
more injustice of slavery
more,
in
more,
America.
more and more every day.
This
But we're going to
injustice
talk
has
about
never
paid
been
sick
addressed
leave.
in this country,
President
and
Trump
it's time
said
for us to take a stand. I'm Dr. Wilson.
to
I'm asking
workers,
you
you
to
know,
support the
the
reparation
CDC
bill
said,
to correct this
you know,
long-standing
you should
injustice
skip
against
work
the descendant
if
of
you're ill.
slavery.
President
Join
Trump
me
said,
by
no, you can go to
supporting this bill
work
and call your
and you'll get
alderman and
better.
state representative.
He sounded like a business owner, right?
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson.
But, you know, just
Reparation for the descendant
who
of
do you
slaves will
trust?
address the uneven development of the middle class that has been shut out of the American
Trust your
dream.
body, everybody.
This bill will give
Trust your
families
body.
the opportunities for education and building wealth to pass down and lowering the crime rate.
And take care of yourself. That's what we appreciated about talking with Dr. Dr. Damon Arnold last night, the former head of the Illinois Department of Public Health. Because what he did do he told us about different things that we could do to increase our own healthfulness.
All the
So,
intelligence,
back in just a minute.
and insight you'll need to win the water cooler wars.
We're coming back in 10
Weekdays,
seconds.
11 to 2, right here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show, streaming live, coming to you from Milwaukee, Talk 1017 FM, and Madison, Talk 92.7 FM, and Chicago, WCPT 820 AM. Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT, as we talk about the coronavirus. I mean, we're seeing a lot. This is impacting the way we live, everybody. It's impacting our money. If you have 401ks, boy, you took a hit yesterday. Whew. Wow, the biggest drop in history. And more people are trying to figure out if they're going to be able to, how they're going to be able to make it. Now, white-collar workers are being given the opportunity to work from home, to work remotely. But what about those who clean? What about food service workers? What about people who work in the big box stores? What about people who work in fast food restaurants? What about people who work in restaurants? Will they be able to work from home? Of course you can't cook from home. You can't clean from home. You can clean at home. You can cook at home, but you cannot clean or cook from home. So what are they supposed to do? What about workers who've not had the job long enough to have acquired paid sick leave? What will they do? I'm going to be talking about that in just a minute with our panel. And, you know, Lady B, let's just get to some of these. Let's get to some of these topics today. The coronavirus. Guess what? It is hitting Italy especially hard. Yesterday we reported to you that 16 million people were under quarantine, about a quarter of their population. Now, their prime minister, Conte, has expanded the quarantine to include the whole country. The whole country is under lockdown, everybody. Can you imagine? People throughout the country of 60 million should not travel other than for work or emergencies, according to their prime minister. He added that all public gatherings will be banned and sporting events suspended. What do you think about that? Would that happen here in the United States? Look, a city of 11 million, Wuhan, China, locked down. A whole country, 60 million plus people, locked down. That could happen here. And what would that mean? What are the implications of that? And are you prepared? Do you have enough food at home? If you got locked in for a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, think about that. Do you have your medicines? We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. What about people who have to go to work? Think about that, everybody. Think about it. The Dow plunged over 2,000 points yesterday, everybody. We've never seen anything like it. What does all of that mean? 2,000 points. The biggest decline since 2008. The S&P plunged as much as 8% on Monday, its biggest intraday drop since 2010, before closing 6.6% lower. These losses in this index prompted the first market-wide trading halt since the depths of the financial crisis in December 2008. This measure was instituted when the market was in free fall in 2008, so that you would not, so that the economy would not crater. So what does this mean? What does this mean? Is it the coronavirus that's driving this, or is our market that weak? You know, I'm going to have to get an economist on to talk about that, everybody. That's right, because they halted trading, everybody, halted trading. In the meantime, you have more and more people who are self-quarantining. Of course, we heard about Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, but now Congressman Doug Collins, Matt Gaetz, and Mark Meadows, they're the latest congressmen to take the step to self-quarantine. After being at the CPAC conference, they came in contact with a man who has the coronavirus, and so they have voluntarily decided to work from home so that they would not infect anyone else. Congressman Doug Collins from Georgia shook hands with President Trump on Friday, and Congressman Matt Gaetz was on Air Force One with the president. Should he self-quarantine? What do you think, everybody? Wow. His future chief of staff, He's self-quarantining. Wow. What do you think about that? I'm just saying, I'm wondering, what the standards are, everybody. Don't you wonder what the standards are? I mean, as we're watching the markets plunge and all of that. Today is Super Tuesday, Part 2. Super Tuesday, Part 2. Of course, the prize is Michigan. Who will win in Michigan? We are seeing Joe Mentum, everybody. Senators Kamala Harris and Cory Booker are the latest to come out and endorse Joe Biden. And people in the mainstream media are saying that this is momentum. But what about the thousands, the tens of thousands of people who come out to see Bernie Sanders? Does that account for anything to you? So, who has the momentum? What do you expect to have happen tonight? Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We're streaming live on the Santita Jackson and Friends page on Facebook. Please like and share, and like and subscribe over on YouTube on the Santita Jackson Show. Please like and subscribe over there, everybody, and call us again at 773-763-9278 and hit me up on Twitter at SantitaJ. The Daily Mail and the Business Insider are reporting some astonishing numbers. U.S. hospitals are preparing for 96 million coronavirus cases. Almost 480,000 deaths. That is a projection, everybody. But there are things we're going to get. I'm going to get Dr. Damon Arnold back on here and some other doctors so we can talk about what else we can do to bolster our immune systems and things like that. Because information is power, everybody. They have not found cases of people under 9, so children have some built-in immunities clearly to this. But our elders are particularly vulnerable, but they don't have to die. So let's think about that, everybody. Got to think about that as we talk in this hour about people who have paid sick leave and whether they're going to be able to self-quarantine. People who have paid sick leave, guess what? They work jobs where they have to be present, physically present. Okay, the Bulls will be playing the Cavaliers tonight. The Nuggets were triumphant over the Bucks, 109-95. Oh, Bucks, you're going to come back. I'm not worried about that. And then, you know what? In this part of the country, it's feeling a little cool today. It was in the 50s yesterday. Felt kind of spring-like. Well, in Milwaukee, it's going to be a high. They're going to have a high of 38 degrees and some rain. Chicago, a high of 35 degrees and some rain. But in Madison, 49 degrees and some rain. It's going to be a little warmer up there. Farther north, warmer. What's up? Everybody, talk to me about paid sick leave. Paid sick leave. President Trump said, you know what? You can go to work. You'll get better. It's just a coronavirus. Now, the CDC has said you need to skip work if you are ill. So what do you say to food workers? What do you say to wait staff? What do you say to people who clean the buildings? Security guards. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Well, joining our illustrious panel today is Attorney Robert Patillo, who deals with these labor issues. But before you go, Aaron Connolly, because I know you've got to get your son off to school, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, I would argue that we need to do more structurally to support all of our workers, all of our neighbors, all of our caregivers, include them in policies that empower them to get more money back at tax time that they can count on. Maybe start really discussing universal basic income and cash transfer programs, additional tax incentives for young entrepreneurs and single parents. So I think we need to change the conversation. Unfortunately, it's taking a disaster for us to do that. But again, it goes back to this economic insecurity that we feel as working families throughout the country when so many of us are still living paycheck to paycheck. And we had a report come out this week, the Alice report, with our friends at the United Way, showing that how many people in Chicago are still living close to the edge. So hopefully our government can step in and at least provide some paid leave and some relief because this is very stressful, as you know. And we'll see how people vote tomorrow. Thank you for having us on to talk about these important issues.
Always, this is your home, Aaron Connolly. Blessings and love to you today. Everybody, talk to me about paid sick leave. what about those millions of workers who don't have it, or who have to go to work in order to get a paycheck? Think about that. That's millions upon millions of workers. White-collar workers are able to work remotely, but not the housekeeping staff, not the security, not people who work in food preparation and things like that. So what about this? What about this? And you have to keep a job for a certain period of time before you can get your paid sick leave. And how will employers handle all of this? Will they carry you while you're sick? So much to discuss. Joining Attorney C.K. Hoffler, President-elect of the National Bar Association, the largest and oldest black bar association in the world, and Dwight McKee, brilliant social scientist, and of course, you are joined by Robert Patillo, civil rights lawyer and labor rights lawyer. How are you, Robert Patillo? Attorney Patillo? Attorney Patillo? I think he's there. Okay, now I can hear you. Absolutely. Talk to me. What about paid sick leave and this coronavirus epidemic? The World Health Organization doesn't want to call it a pandemic, even though it's on every continent except Antarctica. And you're seeing the president, the CDC is telling you, if you do not feel well, stay home. The president's saying, well, you can go, you'll get better. And that puts a lot of pressure on people who absolutely need to go to work in order to get a paycheck. Attorney Patillo, please tell us what's going on.
Absolutely. Okay, one, most important thing in this entire conversation, don't listen to anything the president says. Everything he has said, either wrong or an outright lie. He has lied about the number of cases involved. He's lied about the number of deaths. He's lied about the severity of it. He's asked the National Council that deals with this if he can use a regular flu vaccine on this. He says the doctors have asked him how he knows so much about the outbreak. Don't listen to anything that the president says. That's the number one thing that people need to do. Secondarily, on this point, if you are feeling sick, go to the emergency room. Go to a doctor. The reason is you need to have medical documentation of your sickness, not just simply that you felt sick and you stayed at home, in order to kick in some of the federal rights that you might have regarding protection from being terminated from your employment. As most people know, you have your FMLA rights, or family medical leave rights. Also, you have the certain state and local benefits, depending on your local jurisdiction, that prevent an employer from being able to terminate you for seeking medical care. So it's important for you, even if you don't have a primary care physician, if you are feeling that you need to stay home from work and that you may be unable to go to work, to go to a medical provider to ensure that you are getting those rights protected. Tertiarily, read your employee handbook. Most of us get employee handbooks, never flip through them. I've got a certification in labor employment from Chicago, Kent. When I start a new job, never read the handbook. Read through your employee handbook to find out exactly your collective bargaining rights, your ability to petition your employer for days off, what the company policy is, even if you're an hourly employee, what the company policy is regarding sick leave, and also have a discussion with your HR manager, your human resources manager, with regards to what are the available remedies in case you are unable to work. As you said, hourly employees don't have PTO days that they can take. They don't have paid time off, and often they have a certain number of days that they can miss before they will be terminated. So it is important to protect those rights by having medical documentation, because those cannot count towards unexcused absences. And also find out what resources are available community-wise. In Atlanta, we have Hosea Feast of Hungry. We have food banks. You have clothing banks. Sometimes churches and other nonprofits have short-term financial assistance they offer to people, so that if you are indeed going to be out of work for a period of time and you're an hourly employee who does not have, as Susie Urban always says, 6 months of income, just in case of emergency, that you will be able to bridge the gap for maybe a week or two. Also, it's very important right now for us in the political class to be working with state and local governments to find out how to pass emergency measures that will support people who are dealing with these issues, so they do not have to be at work while sick, potentially spreading the virus. Because guess what? If the people who handle your food are sick, if the people who are interacting with you at the grocery store or at the checkout line are sick, if your bus driver is sick, then it's not going to be that long until you are also sick. So it's important that we work with and support the least of us before it ends up infecting all of us. We live in one closed system on a big blue bubble. So we have to make sure that we treat everybody with the proper respect and dignity and find ways to ensure their ability to survive this outbreak just as yourself.
Well, but when you've got the president saying that you should go to work, and he has a lot of corporate CEOs who are supporting him, and what is the real policy here? I mean, what kind of space are workers going to be given?
The real policy right now is listen to. This is going to sound crazy. Listen to Mike Pence and listen to the medical experts who are working on this and directing this, because the president is doing what's called campaign speak. So what he's worried about is poll numbers. He's worried about the stock market. The least of his concerns is what happens medically to people. As we saw when they were discussing the cruise ship off the coast of California, he said he didn't want to let the people get off the cruise ship because you would double the number of cases and will make it look bad. So don't pay any attention to anything coming out of there. That's probably the most important point. Secondarily, when you do have this guidance from the CDC and from other health organizations, it's important for us to understand that employers are also apprised of this. They understand what's going on. Your boss doesn't want to get sick. Your manager doesn't want to get sick. So they have a vested interest in working with employers, the employees and the workers at any institution to ensure that they have a safe workplace. And so that's why it's important to have that conversation with management, with the human resources officer, to find out your direct policy. And as we've seen, in Atlanta just today or just yesterday, announced the schools will be closed because one employee tested positive for coronavirus. People are being proactive in trying to prevent the spread of this. And I think most employers have that same sense because they understand the severity of this. But if you do encounter a retaliatory employer who does not want to work with employees, then you should of course contact the corporate office immediately for them to step in, and also don't be afraid to contact your local elected officials or the media to say, look, we have an employer here, we have people here who are sick. This employer will not give us time off in order to self-quarantine. It can make other people sick. You'll be amazed what a news camera can do in front of people.
My question is, well, you mentioned schools. Now, New York City, I mean, they're closing. They're looking at, we talked with Attorney C.K. Hoffler. You're still here, and perhaps let me pitch this to you. We're looking at closing schools in Atlanta, all over the country. But in New York City, they won't close the schools because of the homeless population. More than 100,000 kids, 114,000 plus kids are homeless. So, and I'm assuming if they're homeless, their parents may or may not have excellent health care plans. And yet they've got to go to the school because they've got to get food. I mean, this seems like this could create a whole different set of problems.
Absolutely. This is a crisis. We are in a crisis. There are many homeless families, whether it's in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, throughout the country, that rely on, and by the way, and not just homeless people, but people who are living in poverty, who are barely making it. There are many families that rely on the school system to feed their children, period. So when kids go to school, they know they will get 2 square meals a day. They may not get another meal when they leave school, but they're going to get 2 square meals a day. And there are many, many thousands, hundreds of thousands of families throughout this country that rely on that. So when you talk about closing the schools, you're displacing, first of all, you're impacting those families that rely on that. And of course, the school system may not have a choice. because this is a health crisis. So there's a delicate balance there of what they should do. So what I do believe is happening throughout the country is that the school systems are weighing their liability. The lawyers are very much involved in this mix. What is their liability if they keep the schools open, they have children coming in, already in Atlanta they decided to close down the schools for now. If the kids come in and someone gets sick, because it is statistically, it's more, we don't see the numbers of children dying from the virus, but children can transmit the virus. So if there is a way of tracing that and tracking that, and the school system, the superintendents make a decision to leave the schools open and the virus is rampant, that puts the school system in a very precarious position legally. On the other hand, if they do close the schools, then you have hundreds of thousands of children that will be on the street because they are homeless or because they can't afford to have those meals. And by the way, for perhaps their parents who may have a job or two and they're working, their jobs could be at risk. Because what is happening with small and mid-sized businesses, they're having to look at their bottom line. Healthcare costs are not lowering because of this. There are going to be more claims. People are going to work from home. There could be concerns of productivity, being able to track work. Again, if we had had time to plan this, if our country had reacted sooner like other countries, then we might be in a different position because we would have been able to utilize both state and federal resources to assist not just the homeless people, but millions of Americans who are now confronted with a very difficult situation. So this crisis has reached monumental proportions, and I tend to agree. I tend to agree with my colleague. The president is not a source of information. The CDC is a source of information. And I would encourage everyone to log on to their website and get information on what you need to do on a daily basis. This is evolving and changing. What they were recommending last week is different from what they're recommending today.
Everybody call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT in Milwaukee and in Chicago and in Madison. Let's talk about this because, you know, the thing is, America is like a sunshine country. I love it. Love it. The problem is we're only prepared for the good times. What about the tough times, the emergencies? It seems to me we're not prepared for an emergency, for a crisis. What do you think? Are we prepared for the coronavirus? Call me. Let me know. Back in just a minute.
The history of Air America lives here. This is WCPT 820.
Parents
Chicago's
count on the
Progressive
school
Talk, where facts
for the
matter.
2 meals.
Attention Walmart shoppers. This is a Jackson Hewitt tax service announcement.
They do the
Sometime
eyeglasses, the hearing, right?
For limited time, you can
And
shop
what
while a
else did
skilled
they
Jackson
do?
Hewitt tax pro
Because I
prepares your
remember
federal
when I
tax
didn't have
return for as little as
insurance.
No, they used to do
counted
that.
on that.
They used to do that in public schools. Period.
Yeah.
Period. I don't, whatever it was. In
I would
schools,
count on
you got
that.
your eyes tested, you got your teeth tested, you
Yeah.
got your hearing tested every year.
And I
in the public
counted
school
on that.
system.
I remember.
What?
When I didn't have no insurance at all.
No, but I'm just saying, public schools used to do that. That was the public good. Whether you have insurance or not, that shouldn't be the issue. There was a time that when you went to public school, you had to take that nasty tablet and the dental hygienist, or if you were blessed enough, you had the dental hygienist was great because they would tell you what you needed to do, and you had to smile and you saw how poorly or how well you brushed your teeth that day, and typically it was after lunch, so you looked a mess. Then your hearing, your eyesight every year.
Chicago traffic update.
That was That was something you just, that was just a matter of course. Now, that's being eliminated. It's terrible. But, you know, Americans have a choice. We can vote about it. We absolutely can. But we're gonna have to be the ones who will have to vote. Yep, people want to talk about it, so there we go.
Stevenson, 52 minutes, 3:55 Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 23 minutes, 90 to downtown. Northbound Tri-State traffic slow southwest highway to the Long Bridge. It's heavy around the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Other tollways still look pretty good. Lakeshore Drive northbound, it's heavy. Bryn Mawr, Hollywood. That's traffic. I'm Jim Calamonte.
This is Kim Fox. I'm proud of the time I've spent as Cook County State's Attorney.
I wish I
We've taken on the NRA.
pretzels today. I did not bring them.
Trump's cruel attacks against immigrants and people.
No, it's because I'm dressed and going somewhere. That's all.
Under my watch, we worked to prosecute more violent crimes, not just low-level offenses. We've also cleared the records and exonerated thousands of low-level.
And I'm glad Robert Patillo said, "Who listens to the president? Listen to the CDC."
Well, don't listen to the president and these CEOs because that's part of the problem. He's speaking for them too.
And Indeed has solutions.
And we need to be very clear on that. And when you have the president giving businesses that kind of cover, he's sending a signal to these workers. You need to go to work.
Okay, there's no quartet. But skills tests,
let's, you know, keep trying. We play him off as a dunce at our peril. This man is not stupid. He is not. And he is not unconnected. He is not. He is very connected. He is very sharp. He is very shrewd.
How do you know that money actually goes to renewable energy? By joining the Hero Power Clean Energy Program, you never have to second guess it.
Try and make him not as smart as he is if you want to. Heaven help you if you do. Don't ever assume somebody's not smart. That is not smart.
Other electricity suppliers may say they offer
people know what you know.
Green E certification.
You know, you don't know what else is going on in somebody's mind.
And you can join Hero Power at no extra cost.
All you know from people about people is what they tell you. You don't know what they know. People don't tell you everything.
WCPT listeners can get a $25 credit off their first bill. Join today at myheropower.com/WCPT.
Okay, we're coming
You're just
back.
3 clicks away at myheropower.com/WCPT.
Let me grab a couple of these calls very quickly. Well, you know, let me go to... Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. Before we go to the calls, Dwight, I want you to weigh in on what you're hearing. I mean, I was just having this discussion as we stream live on WCPT820.com here in Chicago, as we are on Talk 101.7 FM in Milwaukee and Talk 92.7 in Madison. I want to hear from you, everybody. Robert's calling us from Wisconsin, to you and to Ron and Vicky and Jane. Everybody, I'm going to get to you in just a few minutes. 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT, as we talk about paid leave. Workers who, you know, everybody can't work remotely. Everybody cannot work remotely. And, you know, we were talking during the break, Dwight McKee, and, you know, clearly we need to listen to the CDC. But when I hear President Trump, Dwight, I can't help but think that he is speaking for the business owners to whom he is so closely tied, with whom he's so closely aligned. It seems to me it's almost in a very kind of backhanded way, people being told to go to work. These blue-collar workers.
Workers really only have two options. It's either paid leave or just leave. Is that many of the workers don't have real options, and if they don't go to work, then they lose their jobs. Money is called currency for a very specific reason. It's the circular nature of money. It's why it's called currency. And so if you have, Chicago, has lost 4 major conventions so far this month. And so the question is raised, what happens in a service industry when there's nobody to serve? It's the doctors are not coming, they're not having their convention. The housewares are not having their convention. And so it impacts the hotel industry. It impacts the restaurant industry. It impacts the those who are tied into the serving people who are now not coming. And so not only are they impacted, but now the waiters can't pay their car notes. And the dishwashers can't pay their rent. And those who are involved in the service industry, now they can't pay their child the bills in terms of their child support,
Wait a minute, it could be child support. Well, grown folks have grown bills.
But I'm thinking of when your children are in daycare. That's what I'm thinking of, the daycare bills. And so now the daycare workers are affected. And now the teachers are affected. Now the guys who sell the cars are affected. And so there's a circular impact on the economy, because now those guys who sell the cars, they can't pay their rent, and they can't pay their house notes. What happened to the workers who pick the food that we have to eat, that either run the risk of maybe infecting the food or not being able to pick the food, and now we don't have anything to eat because they are affected by the situation? Yes. And it becomes a problem for everybody because money is circular, service is circular, economy is circular. Dr. King talked about this one real network of mutuality. Everybody is connected to everybody else, which means that in a situation like this, everybody is also at risk with everybody else.
And Dr. King did say that that circular movement of the universe, it is inescapable. You know, right, Dwight? You can't get around it. Let me go to some of these callers, and and perhaps you have some questions about what your rights are. Do you know what your rights are? Have you read your employee handbook? Have you? I mean, think about that. Do you know the agencies that you need to go to if you need to seek relief? We have got a lawyer who's certified in these relations right here talking with us today on the Santita Jackson Show. And so let's talk about it. Let me go to you, Jane from Chicago. What's on your mind, my dear?
Hi there. You were asking Santita a lot about if we're ready for this. And on the virus side of things, sadly it appears we're not. There's no information right now from the government about how many tests are available. Officials have come out and said that they have not had success in getting tests or getting tests timely. And epidemiologists are saying we don't have enough beds. We've got 50,000 ventilators in the country. I mean, these are all things that could cause panic, but I think panic only makes matters worse. And so, when you are looking at the Centers for Disease Control and those that are leading there and other leading epidemiologists, they're predicting that we're going to have, we're going to have a number of deaths in this country from this virus. And sadly, this is something we've known about now since December. I mean, this is not news to this White House, to our government.
That's true.
They knew about this. China, reported it.
That's true.
And other countries did prepare. But our government did not. Our federal government, our executive branch did not prepare. And regardless of what political side you're on,
that's right.
I mean, I think there will be people in this country who will die because we did not prepare. Because we did not take this seriously. Because we don't take government seriously.
Thank you, Jane. That's absolutely true. It's called COVID-19 because it was discovered in December of 2019. We're 3 months into the new year? This is 4 months. Are you serious? Blessings to you, Jane. Let me go to Robert from Wisconsin. Robert, what's on your mind today? 1017 listener.
Yeah, I can't add a lot to what Jane said. They definitely were unprepared. To me, I'm concerned that the virus is going to take all the attention away from the race that's actually going on. So with Medicare for All, think about this. We have 87 million people that are underinsured or uninsured. It would go a long way if we actually had some kind of national health system in place. I believe I saw one city, Seattle, that I think they put the homeless population up in a hotel because they're worried about the virus spreading. So as we go forward, we need to think what the candidates are offering. Bernie, is kind of in the vein of FDR, John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Reverend, very progressive policies that will help ordinary people. Joe Biden's campaign isn't even offering a public option. They're not even going as far as Mayor Pete or some of the other candidates. So I just hope people think about that as they make decisions in the states here.
I agree with that, because now is the time for you to work that out. You get to the convention and you convene everybody. You get to the convention and then you say, okay, I'm going to compromise on this or the other. Right now, this is not time for you to compromise. It's not. It's not.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Let me go to Nikki. What's on your mind, Nikki?
Well, you were asking about the preparedness, and your other callers really touched on that quite extensively. I don't think we're prepared, but I don't think we ever prepare. I think what you said about us being a sunny country, we always think everything's going to be fine. And you look at things like the Dutch and the way that they prepare for flooding. They put all their money into the pre-flood. They build dikes. They build all kinds of incredibly engineered systems to not flood. We let New Orleans flood, and then we spend billions of dollars cleaning it up. Instead of putting the billions of dollars into the pre-flood, we do this all the time. And when you have a person in the White House that we have now who's not putting the resources into things like EPA, those are what our agencies do. Those agencies are all there to prepare us for potential problems. If you pull all the money from those agencies, then you have nobody who's looking to the future. And unfortunately, that's what we have right now in our White House, is someone who has absolutely no clue about anything that could go wrong anywhere. He thinks that everything is tremendous. It's creepy.
Thank you for that. I mean, look, I'm just making an observation here. It seems that we're prepared for. We just assume that nothing bad can ever happen. That is something. Nothing that ever challenges us could ever happen, and we are on the verge of that every day. Someone said to me, on your sickest day, on your wellest day, you could die. Okay, so think about that. And I'm not being maudlin or morbid about that. I'm just saying, every day, things can happen. Thank you so much, Nikki. Blessings to you. Let me go to you, Ron from Naperville. Ron, what's on your mind?
Peter, how are you?
It's great hearing your voice.
Okay. So I was thinking as I'm listening to people how I wanted to approach this. I don't want to say I triggered on your sunshine statement, but it's so spot on. It's so spot on. And then people took my thunder and mentioned Katrina, where we don't prepare for anything. Case in point, we have a cap on Social Security and Medicare called, our FICO caps. We stop contributing to them at some artificial number because that's just the right number that somebody figured a political action committee can tolerate. If all income was income, whether it's investment income, income from buying gold, income from starting your business, all of it was the same and it was taxed at the same tax rates, and FICO which includes Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, we're all taxed all the way till the end of time. You know, if you make $1 billion, you got $1 billion that you're paying 7.5% on your FICO for. We would have so much preparedness; it would be coming out of everywhere. And I'll just stop with that analogy. And so we could then say everyone gets, with this preparedness, they have 2 months of salary sitting somewhere. It's not unemployment because they still have a job with FMLA. You know, FMLA is 12 weeks. But then it's a guaranteed payment because you've invested. You've put this money in for years, and others have put in bigger chunks of money because they're billionaires. And these are things that would indicate that the government is thinking in the public's best interest, in the national security. I use national security tropes for everything: health, education, preparedness for influenza. We don't do any of this. We don't do preventative medicine. We don't do preventative education even. In fact, there are some places where you can't even talk about birth control because that's a sin, and therefore the kids can't learn about it. You know, so we really got to level that and start contributing for the rainy day fund. That's what Social Security is. It's the rainy day fund. We just don't like to call it that because it doesn't sound sunny and pretty and nice. We have to be sunny, pretty, nice, except when we decide we're going to go bomb people. Then we can be angry and frustrated. So I'm going to stop there.
You said a whole lot. Let me go to you, Gene from Northbrook. What's on your mind, Gene?
I think a lot of these callers are calling in, and it's easy to be an armchair quarterback. And these last couple callers, the 2 ladies in particular, that said the government's not ready in the executive branch, they spelled an awful lot of stuff, but they're not giving me examples. And let me tell you, you can't be too proactive on everything. The one lady wants to have dikes for New Orleans, and then coronavirus has to be at Warsaw for everything. You know what? The government is, they're there to protect the country, but let me tell you something. These women that are calling in and saying, hey, the government's failing, the government isn't efficient. And these women do not understand that the government is not efficient. By taking money away from the government, it's really not that bad of a thing. Okay, we're not going to be able to look at every single situation. What do these women want Trump to stop tornadoes too? I mean, enough is enough. You know.
Well, I mean, you've picked at the women. What about the men who've said the same thing, Pete?
No, ma'am. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not too worried about what the men say. It's the women that I have problems with.
Bless your heart, Robert Patillo. Why don't you respond to Pete? Robert Patillo, what are you hearing?
I'm sorry about my phone was on mute. I think Pete made it very clear that his issue isn't with policy, but with women. So maybe if he can get like a date or something, then his opinion on small government versus big government would be different. Look, we're in serious times, but we need to have serious conversations. This is part of the reason that Bernie's voice is so important in this current election cycle, because he's the only person who's been talking about this beforehand. None of the issues that we're running into, and the reason that President Trump is trying to downplay the coronavirus epidemic, is because he's already exhausted all the emergency measures that you have in an economy to deal with a unexpected market fluctuation. So normally under Keynesian economic theory and the Chicago theory or against the Chicago theory of economics, is this idea of full employment and massive government expenditures in order to make up for downfalls or downturns in the economy. This was the kind of the intellectual backing behind the International Monetary Fund and behind the planned economies of the world that we have today. But the problem is that when you pull all of your emergency levers when there's not an emergency, well, then you don't have anything to turn to when there is an emergency. So the entire Trump low unemployment, blah, 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 that has been a result of the Keynesian economic theory that he's been executing. And by doing so during times when we actually did not need to do so, now we're kind of stuck like Chuck because we don't have anywhere to turn to. We don't have any other buttons to push, because normally you could say, okay, there's an international pandemic. We have to stabilize the market. Let's do a targeted tax cut to help industry. Well, we already did a tax cut last year for no apparent reason, just because we felt like it. So you can't really pull that lever again. Normally you would say, well, let's cut regulations to relieve some stress on business. We already did that, so you can't pull that lever. You would say, well, we can do deficit spending in order to stimulate the economy by injecting capital into the market. We are already doing that. We're already at $1 trillion year-over-year deficit. So now we're in a situation where the market is tumbling. We don't have any other buttons to push to get us out of it. We've already pulled the emergency parachute, and we've been coasting on the parachute for the past several years. And I think that the response we're seeing out of the administration is one of, we've already hit all the buttons. We don't have a plan for this, so let's pretend it's not happening. Kind of like when you're trying to get your husband to go to the doctor, he just pretends that limp isn't a limp. That's what we're doing right now.
C.K. Hoffler.
Well, I just think we have to be vigilant that we are at a point now politically where we need to focus on the issues impacting the people.
Well, hold that thought, because you keep going back to the politics. We're in the middle of the presidential primary. And we need to, don't you think that we need now, as we're watching, we're trying to figure out whether we're going to keep schools open or not? Because you got to feed these kids. They deserve to eat. And, but then, what if they've been infected? What if their parents don't have enough insurance? Shouldn't this be right front and center at these town hall meetings and as we are going to the polls?
Absolutely. And that's my very point. If I were running, and I would just pray that we really take an aggressive approach to addressing this epidemic, that the only thing I'd really be talking about would be this virus and the impact on this country. Because that cuts across political boundaries, because that impacts all Americans, whether you're rich or poor. That's a unifying force, but most importantly, we need unifying solutions. We cannot imagine what it's going to be like a week from today. So next Monday, imagine, Santita, the discussion on your show. We're probably going to have 5 to 10 times more people, because the only reason why the numbers are just progressively going up the way they are is because we don't have enough of the test kits to be able to test people. So literally, there's probably thousands, hundreds of thousands of people potentially walking around, and we just don't know what we don't know. So the politicians, the political framework, the government, the candidates must get on top of this, because every single day they've got to be talking about a solution. It doesn't. Senator Sanders is still in the Senate. So what are the lawmakers doing? So it doesn't. While they're on the road, everybody has the ability to execute or to push for a plan, to push the president to put in place a real plan, whether they're campaigning or not. That's what happens when you have an epidemic. So I agree with you 100%. The people who will pay for this the most are the underprivileged, are the underserved. But I'm also here to tell you that all classes of people are going to pay for this ultimately, because we don't have a plan. And that's tragic. That is tragic. So I think first and foremost, that's what's got to be on everyone's mind. How do we, on an individual level, how do we as a government, how do we as a state, how do we as a community, how do we as a religious community, how do we as a political community address this climate? How do we address these issues? What are the churches doing? Because when government fails us, we've got to go into a grassroots approach. What are we doing? What are we making available? If the grocery stores are running out of and can't keep wipes, can't keep hand sanitizer, can't keep masks in their stock, what are we doing about that? I know that there are people, I was in Washington yesterday, there were people who were making their own sanitizers because the stores had run out. And a woman showed me the steps that you have to take to make your own hand sanitizers. because they can't buy them anymore in any of the stores.
Now, you know I went to YouTube to find out how I could make my own sanitizer. You know I did that. I mean, maybe it's not scientific, but everything, they're running out of toilet paper. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Running out of toilet paper. Toilet paper. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that people are going to go into McDonald's, Starbucks, and the like, and they're going to take the toilet paper. That's what's going to happen because we are fastly approaching, unfortunately, a crisis. This is an epidemic. So I cannot be any more, I can't express it in any more passionate terms that as we sit here and talk about politics, these candidates need to come front center and make this every day, every minute, their priority. And to our president, he needs to do the same in stronger terms because he does have the ability to do something now, to execute a plan now. And to our lawmakers on state, federal, local level, we need to be putting in place aggressive measures. So I do applaud those who are doing that. We might be inconvenienced here in the city of Atlanta, but at least we feel someone is doing something and our kids may be safer. Because if our kids aren't safe, maybe they're not dying from the virus, but they can pass it on to their parents and to their grandparents. And if the parents or grandparents have compromised systems, they could be at risk. It could be fatal for them.
Absolutely, everybody.
People are working, who are driving the buses. How about the bus drivers who are driving the kids to school? They're going to be, they don't, and as you said, Santita, earlier, they don't have a choice. The cafeteria workers who are feeding the kids, they don't have a choice.
No, really. So, I mean, as we go, everybody, and I want you, if you can, stay with me for a hot second, Dwight McKee and Attorney Patillo, because I would like for you to speak to Nikki and to Roosevelt when we get, because we're about to go out in about a minute. Everybody, we're all connected with each other. It's inescapable. You know, we are woven together. If you don't think you're connected to the person who cleans your office, who cleans your home, you're sadly mistaken. We're one. We're one. So thinking about health care, look, don't get into a personality contest. And please do not let someone run for president telling you how much more polite they are going to be than President Trump. They need to give you some policies. Because as you can see, we are just one emergency away from chaos. We are one emergency away from, oh my goodness, I don't have enough food in my house. I don't have toilet tissue. Hand sanitizer, please. I don't have soap. I don't have enough food in my house. I need an inhaler. Think about that. Because now the insurance companies need to get in the mix. Because they're only allowing you to get unless you have special permission, you can only get 1 month's worth of your medicine. The government's telling you need to get a couple of months, 2 or 3 months. No, we got to ask some questions right now. And so while on others are calling, while all these people are running for president, you all need to, everybody who's running for president has some influence. Call these insurance companies. Let's come up with a plan right now. Stay right here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm going to take your calls right here. God bless you. Santita Jackson. Okay. So
do you have a house or two flat you'd like to sell quickly? Then call URB Chicago. Get an immediate cash offer and receive your check in as little as 7 days.
And remember, I'm going to be out of here at 9, so I got to go catch my flight.
Or real estate commissions. Get a market-based, hassle-free cash offer on the spot. URBChicago.com is the area's oldest direct buyer of real estate. They buy as is, even properties that are boarded up, have tax liens or building code issues. Stop worrying about bad tenants, high payments, or even repairs you can't afford. If you own a house, apartment building, or even commercial real estate in rough condition, URBChicago.com gives you a fast way to sell at a fair market value. Call URB Chicago right now at 847-673-7575. That's 847-673-7575. Or visit URBChicago.com.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, the driver in front of you, or the driver that's trying to get in front of you. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
AP News. Good morning. I'm Ed Donahue. The opening bell sounds later this hour on Wall Street. Stocks around the world have rebounded today. I'm Ed Donahue. The opening bell sounds later this hour on Wall Street.
Okay. Great.
All right, thank you, CK. I appreciate it.
We love you, CK.
Unless you're gonna hang out for a little bit. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Bye.
Okay. Let's bring him up. So we can talk about tomorrow's show.
Okay. Yeah, they're up.
Hey, Nikki Roosevelt. Hey, how you doing? We've got let's see, I was about to call you Senator. Attorney Patillo and Dwight McKee on with us, Roosevelt and Nikki. Nikki, let me go to you. Nikki, what's on your mind today? I need you to turn that. Hold on 1 second. Nikki, hold on. Bedalia, I need you to turn this up so we can hear. Okay. All right, Nikki, go on.
I just wanted to address that gentleman who said about the women and what they had to say, and I won't even touch on the fact that he said the women. But I think when you get down to the crux of it all, we as a nation say, oh, we are the greatest nation. And we truly believe that. We believe we are the greatest nation. And when you travel around Europe, or mainly Europe, people tend to look at us and think we don't have very much humility. And you get that feeling. And I think part of that comes from the fact that the way we define what is the greatest is not the way other countries define the greatest. So we think we're the greatest because why? We have a lot of money, or because we have big buildings, or because whatever. But we don't have empathy. We, as a nation, and now with our current person in office, it's completely depleted. So we say, oh, we're the greatest nation. We're the greatest nation, but we don't take care of the weakest among us. And that's what I expect my government to do. I don't want to do wars anymore. I'm tired of wars. I put our money into our people, and let's plan for disasters and put money there. Let's feed the homeless. It's not that hard. Free education. Every other country's doing it. Why aren't we?
Well, why don't you think that we are, Nikki?
Because that's not where we put our emphasis. We are this nation that believes we have to be this strong man, this bully, this big guy. And so you have these other countries like France where they send their people to college for free. We say, oh, we can't do that. It's too expensive. That's not true. It's priority. What is our priority? And unfortunately, our priority is always defense spending. It's such a big part of our budget. And I get it. I understand we have to have a defense. I get that. But no matter what happens, we always find the money for a war. We always find the money for a B bomber. We always find that money. But when someone says the poor need to have health insurance, everyone says, oh, we can't afford that. Well, why not? We just afforded $1 billion to 20 years of Afghanistan. Why can't we afford free education? I just don't think we have our values in the right spot.
You get no argument from me, Nikki. So stay right there. Dwight McKee, Robert Patillo, have at it.
Nikki made a very good point. What took Joseph in the Bible out of the prison into the prime ministry was the vision. We not only lack empathy, we also lack vision. Is that what he saw was 7 years of famine on the other side of 7 years of plenty. And so he took the surplus from the plenty and invested it in such a way is they were prepared for the 7 years of famine. We are a country of conspicuous consumption. All we do is live day to day and operate as if there's never going to be any major issues. There's never going to be 7 years of famine. And so we splurge in the 7 years of plenty. And so when there's a crisis, we're really left unprepared, as one of the other panelists said, and can't really affect the necessary change because we have, I don't want to use that word, but we have manipulated our way into feed away the surplus with no real backup plan. It's just so imprudent of us.
That's true.
Robert Patillo?
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that the defense industry and other industries do far better on PR, marketing, and lobbying than poor people do. Poor folks don't have lobbyists. We can't run $500 million in commercials to get our agenda on the international conversation. We don't have the ability to go to Washington and bend the ear of lawmakers. I've been on both sides of it. I've been at food lines as a child, hoping for assistance when we didn't have a place to live, and I've been in Senate hearings with and fundraisers with lobbyists in Washington, D.C. and under the Gold Dome and with presidents. And believe it or not, the people in power listen a lot more to folks who got money. And that's why we don't get on the national agenda list. I think if we look at one of the callers brought up military spending, I don't think most people understand how bad it is. Because the military spending problem that we have in this country is a pure addiction. It is an addiction that no other country shares on earth, because what we've done is maintain World War II levels of military spending and had a continuous standing army ready to fight a two-front war since 1942. We have been in a complete military-industrial complex posture since the 1940s. And we have no intention of writing that down right now. And the justification they make is the only thing that's stopping the Chinese from coming to get the money that we owe them is the military that we have. And every great nation that we've seen in Earth's history has fallen once it became a militaristic nation. That's what happened to the Romans. That's what happened to the Greeks. Alexander of Macedon expanded the Greek Empire and then got greedy, took it to the Indus River Valley, and it collapsed the entire civilization. So what we have to do is get out of the warlike posture and look at the civilizations that were able to last millennia. And what they did was go into a peacetime posture. China shut itself off from the outside world, reduced its military, invested in arts, math, and science, and lasted 8,000 years. But we have not changed that mindset yet in our country. The same thing with the Egyptians. Once they stopped going to war with the Sumerians and the Babylonians, their empire could last thousands of generations. So we as a country need to realize that continuously investing in bombs and bombers, rockets and jets is not the way forward. Science, technology, the human economy is where we will survive as a group.
Well, Gore Vidal put it so well. He did say that perhaps his great disappointment in our great country was that we had an opportunity to achieve civilization, yet we chose empire. And empires don't live, everybody. Nikki, empires collapse of their own weight. Other societies don't collapse empires. The empire itself collapses itself. And that's what we're doing. Jimmy Carter, President Carter, and President Trump, according to a news report, spoke just a few months ago. And President Trump reached out to President Carter. And he asked him, why is it that China is so far ahead of us? I mean, why are they moving so far ahead? He said, because they are not at war. We're at war all the time, everywhere. We cannot afford this. And we cannot. We are collapsing of our own weight, everybody. And now is the time for you to make a choice. Nikki, you're making a great point.
Well, I'll tell you what Robert just said was so on point, it made my stomach sick.
Well, you shouldn't get sick. You should be happy. You just said something that was on point, girl. Come on.
Oh, I mean, he was so right. It was exactly, he just put everything into words for me, but it makes me sick that this is how we live. We have so much abundance. We are so blessed. And we just, I don't know. Will got off track, but I do believe the whole thing of the empire and war is the crux of the problem. We invest in the wrong things.
We're going to have to make some decisions. Roosevelt, what's on your mind?
Good morning, everybody. Nikki is right on point, everything she said, and I wanted to add a little bit of it. Let's examine what has happened in the past since, let's say, the 2000s, when Bush was elected. Remember our attack that we had on our Twin Towers in New York? He was informed by the CIA months ahead of time that the attack was imminent. He didn't pay attention to our intelligence, and we were attacked. We were not prepared then. And what did he do? Because of the attack, he got us into wars. Precisely the point that you were making about asking why is China so far ahead of us? Because we're constantly to war. And Bush, before he became president, was the governor of Texas. What is he famous for? What was he famous for? What was his number one accomplishment? 152 executions in Texas. Prior to being the governor, he was a businessman. And that's my point. We keep on electing businessmen. And we have one in the White House. And what does business do? People that are up in the ladder of CEOs and beyond ownership of business, they cut and slash the first, when it comes down to when they're in peril with the economy. And what else do? They bail themselves out. And that's what I think Trump is going to do. He's going to bail out the hotel industry because he's in the business of hotels. That's the reason why we're in this predicament, because we are not prepared for tragedies. Look at Katrina. Let's go back to Bush again. Horrible the way he handled that. So, and who suffered for that? The majority of people that were hurt, African American women, men, children, displacement, and even now to this day, there's people that lost their homes completely. They were displaced. They were put somewhere else, not where they originally lived. So that's what I'm getting at. We keep on electing businessmen. We go back to the well of electing people that care only about profit. What is Trump doing right now? He's worried about the stock market. He's not worried about the coronavirus, because he's, like a gentleman earlier said, I don't know who said it, we're not prepared because the person that's at the head of the, let's call it a ship, we're going down. This ship is going down because the person in charge of the ship, the United States, we're not united. You're totally right, Santita. I had a discussion with a friend of mine. He's a Republican. When this thing came down in Katrina in Louisiana, he said, what should I care about those people in Louisiana? I told him, are you stupid? We're connected. We're the United States of America. We got to be united. That's the description of this country. And I said, we're connected by rivers. The Mississippi River is connected all the way from Louisiana to Illinois. I go, are you stupid? But he was stuck on the fact that why should we spend money on Katrina and the people down there? So that's my point.
Well, until it hits him, until it hits him, we're going to have to close this out very shortly. But it's interesting, Dwight McKee. Thank you, Nikki and Roosevelt, as we close everything out. President Trump, though, he is not just a singular figure. This is someone who is, Nick, I think it was Naomi Klein, who said just after the election in 2016, she said, what we have just witnessed is a corporate coup d'etat. Because he is someone who is a creature of the banks. he is indebted to the banks. And, we have to be very clear. It's not just him. I say this a lot. He is a figurehead for the corporatocracy. That's what he is. And we have to look at these corporations. Everybody keeps going to Washington. Washington's a problem. No, New York is a problem. Chicago's a problem. LA's a problem. Where all these corporations are, they're the problems. They really are. And we have to stop looking at people and personalities and start looking at principles and structures so that we can begin to make some sense and really deal with this monster that's choking all of us. Closing thoughts from you, Robert Patillo, and Dwight McKee. First, you, Robert Patillo.
Well, I think in closing, what we really have to look at is how to take care of ourselves in this situation. That the chances of there being a massive shift in the moral bearings of this nation in the next month to do this outbreak, to do this virus, is highly unlikely. So we need to start putting away money. If you're going to be going on some trips or vacations, most of the travel companies are now put into a posture where they have to work with you to for you to be able to get some of that money back. Those other expenses you may have been thinking about using some of your income tax money on, so on and so forth, that new car, maybe it has to put off for a few months, because if you do not have a nest egg put away to deal with emergencies, then you will find yourself in a short situation, and we do not have the governmental infrastructure in place right now to deal with that. So begin getting your canned foods together. Begin preparing for the worst. As you said, we are a sunny side American exceptionalist nation, but because of that, you have to have put away the proper necessities to take care of yourself and your family. Put away some money. Put away some water, some food, medications. Start preparing now, and be ready to ride this out in case it does get worse.
Wow. Dwight McKee, you've got the final word here.
Well, the reason we can't afford to study war no more is because our whole economy is built on militarism. That is, the role that the military plays is it forces the world to adopt the dollar standard. And so we have to be prepared for a deficit operating nation because our money is fiat. We have trade deficits. We have a deficit in our financial structure. And it's because we're operating based on nothing real other than the military forcing the people to use the dollar as a standard. So we got whole armies in the Middle East enforcing a petrodollar. If we was operating based on real trade dynamics, then we would be much less prosperous nation because we'd have to pay in kind. We'd have to pay the real value of the commodities that we buy. And we really don't have the money for that other than forcing the people to accept this paper money and smile and look happy in accepting it. It would bring a real balance to the world economy because it would realign the United States with other countries that we have trade relationships with, but really can't afford the reality of what that really represents. We have to have a military because it's the only way we can keep these people in line and keep these people on a dollar standard is with the barrel of a gun. It's sad but true.
And it's not going to work much longer. It's not just America and everybody else. It's the whole world together. We're watching the great empires of the world, the Western world. We're watching Europe scramble, trying to stay together, trying to figure out their money, as the nations upon which they built their wealth are coming into prominence and preeminence. Don't take that for granted. As Africa and Asia rise, and Europe is having to do a reset, I think we got to look at that, everybody. We have to understand Reverend Jackson often says that what we need to really understand is that Africa is the creditor. We are the debtors. Asia is, well, there are bankers now, quite frankly. They and Japan hold our note. I mean, China and Japan together hold half of our debt on any given day. So, we have to think about these things. We have to understand that, a lot of other people, as my Aunt Irene Ware, and you know her well, Dwight McKee, great radio personality out of Mobile, Alabama. I was despairing of the Iraq War. I just said, oh my goodness, at the time I was hoping to God that we would not invade that country. And she said, baby, you don't have to worry about it, because you have to understand this. God loves Iraqis too. And maybe if we understood that, look, God bless America, absolutely, but America must bless God and really understand by being good how blessed we are. We have to behave like we're blessed. We do. And we have to be kind to each other, and we have to be kind to other nations. So, it's an opportunity for us to grow, everybody, and I'm praying that we will. And I'm hoping that everybody within the sound of the voice of this show will get out and vote today in these Super Tuesday 2 states. I'm hoping that you will do that. And as we get prepared to vote next week in Illinois and Ohio and other places, I'm hoping that you will vote, vote, vote. Vote your hopes, not your fears. When we get to Milwaukee, those of us who are Democrats, you have an opportunity to, to fight it out in a healthy way. But right now, vote for the person who you really feel stands for you. You don't need to. You vote for the person you think is going to win in the fall. Right now, you have to figure out who you want to run for you, whose positions you agree with the most. You have that opportunity. Do that right now. Do that right now. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. Nothing. So we deserve better, but we only deserve better if we do better. So everybody, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show. Attorney Robert Patillo and Dwight McKee, blessings to you. Brilliant as always. Nikki, girl, don't let these people make you sick to your stomach. Be happy. Be happy. Roosevelt, you know I love you and Nikki. God bless you, everybody. See you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show.